Hello, everyone. We are Team Six, and I'm Karis Roberts, and I have two other presenters here with me today who will introduce themselves now.
Hi, this is Naomi Ohashi.
And this is Catherine Strawley.
Today, we are presenting our research, which aims to investigate the impact of different health factors in Virginia counties through statistical analyses. In this presentation, we will provide an overview of the research conducted on the health factors in Virginia counties, an explanation of the source of the data, an overview of the analysis done that seeks to explain premature loss of life in Virginia counties, an overview of the analysis of mental health outcomes in Virginia counties, and we will wrap up with the conclusion that provides a quick summary of all the findings. Multiple linear regression and multiple logistic regression techniques are used to explore factors that influence early mortality and poor mental health outcomes in Virginia. The analysis will look at how these health factors influence the premature loss of life in Virginia counties and create a greater number of mentally unhealthy days when compared to the US average. The analysis aims to answer two specific research questions. The first question is, what behavioral, environmental, and socioeconomic factors have the largest positive effect on premature loss of life in Virginia counties? The second question is, what health factors cause a Virginia county's average number of mentally unhealthy days to be greater than the US average? The data used in this analysis comes from the University of Wisconsin's Population Health Institute that includes data from 134 Virginia counties. The data includes a variable defined as total life lost before age 75 per 100,000 population in each county. This will be used as the response variable in the first analysis. In addition, the data includes the average number of mentally unhealthy days reported in the last 30 days. This will be used in the second analysis. Now I'm going to hand it over to my co-presenter, Naomi.
Thank you, Karis. The research we conducted to answer what behavioral, environmental, and socioeconomic factors influence premature loss of life in Virginia is important because early deaths continue to be a significant issue in Virginia. Additionally, finding what is causing the premature loss of life can lead to the creation of better health policies to better the life expectancy in those counties. Next slide, please. Additional variables considered in the analysis for premature life loss in Virginia counties will be whether the county has a health-related water violation, the percentage of excessive drinking, the percentage that smoke, the percentage of adults that are inactive, a health food environment index, and uninsured, the percentage of people under 65 without insurance. Next slide, please. A scatter plot correlation matrix was created for the variables being used in the premature life loss analysis. Smoking, inactive, and uninsured shows a positive correlation, while surprisingly, excessive drinking shows a weak negative association. Next slide, please. The scatter plot shows a more in-depth view of drinking and smoking. It depicts a weak negative association between years of life lost and drinking, which is unexpected since it is known that drinking causes many negative health effects. Additionally, it shows that smoking is associated with a higher increase of years of loss of life. Next, please. This slide depicts a graph of the association of smoking percentage of inactive adult population and food environment index with the premature years of life lost. This again shows that the smoking, inactivity, and limited access to food are positively correlated with the year of life lost. Next, please. Life lost regression model. The final model chosen for the multiple linear regression analysis on premature loss of life in Virginia counties uses smoking, drinking, and uninsured as predictors for the years of premature life loss. This model was decided on because it had at the least variability. Smoking was found to be the only significant predictor in this analysis. The model shows that the smoking increases the year of life lost. The coefficient of smoking is about 460. In context, this means that for every percentage increase in the total population that smokes, the year of life lost per 100,000 increases by 460 years. The other predictors are insignificant, so we can't claim how they impact the response variable. Next, please. Life lost regression results. The analysis tested 5 different multiple linear models. Every model found that at least one of the predictors influenced the years of life lost response variable. In the model, we decided to go with the predictor of smoking increased the year of life lost. Additionally, more predictor variables would be helpful to inform the analysis. In the future, researchers should look at the data that is broken down past the county level to individual or neighborhood level. I'll pass the floor to the next presenter.
In the next portion of the presentation, I'm going to be talking about our logistic regression analysis. This analysis aims to answer the question of what factors cause Virginia County's average number of mentally unhealthy days to exceed that of the US average of 4.2. Again, this is important because many counties have an average number of mentally unhealthy days that is higher than the US average, and identifying the causes can improve quality of life in these counties by informing public health related policy. Next slide, please. The predictor variables considered in this analysis include the food environment index, representing access to healthy food, the percentage of adults that are inactive, a ratio representing income inequality, unemployment rate, rate of social membership associations, and the number of mental health providers per 100,000. Next slide, please. The box plot depicted on this slide shows that the median rate of social associations is higher in counties with a high average number of mentally unhealthy days. And this is surprising because we would typically guess that more social association would be related with fewer average mentally unwell days, since symptoms of mental health concerns may be lethargy or more reclusive tendencies, and furthermore, social interaction tends to be positive for mental health. Next slide, please. The box plot here shows the relationship between the food environment index and whether a county has a higher than average number of mentally unwell days. The box plot shows that less access to healthy foods is likely a predictor of a higher number of mentally unwell days. And we see that the median food environment index is lower among counties with a high average number of mentally unwell days. Next slide, please. Here, the density plot and box plot show the relationship between the percentage of physically inactive adults and whether a county has a higher than average number of mentally unwell days, again, comparing against the US average. The visualizations here suggest a strong negative relationship between physical inactivity and mental health. And the box plot shows that the median percent of physically inactive adults is higher among counties with a high average number of mentally unwell days. Next slide, please. The final model picked for the multiple logistic regression analysis uses the number of mental health providers per 100,000 population, the food environment index, the percentage of inactive adults, a ratio representing income inequality, and the rate of social associations as predictors of whether a county's average number of mentally unhealthy days is higher than the US average. And this model was picked because it had the best predictive abilities with the lowest error rate when predicting the response variable with our test data. Here, the predictors, food environment index, and percentage of the population that is inactive are both significant, while the other predictors are insignificant. And specifically interpreting the coefficients, with this model, we predict that a 1 unit increase in the food environment index will have the effect of a 2.79 decrease in the log likelihood that a county has a higher than normal number of mentally unhealthy days on average, and a 1 percentage point increase in the county's inactive rate will have a 0.87 increase in the log likelihood that a county has a high average number of mentally unwell days. And for the other predictors, since they're insignificant, we can't really assert anything about those. But what you'll note is we have this ROC curve here. Because the curve is under the red diagonal line, this is an indication that the model performs worse than random guessing. So while this was our best model, it didn't perform very well with an AUC of 0.23. Next slide, please. The final model for this analysis did not perform well when used to predict the response. Despite this, we were still able to draw some conclusions about the effects of the predictors on the response variable, the significant coefficients for food environment index and inactive adults. That significance was seen across other models we looked at as well. So if this model was being used as real world evidence, we would recommend policy changes focused on improving healthy food access and offering opportunities and incentives for exercising. And this analysis is limited by the data being at the county level. Additional variables could have created a better analysis and provided more insight into population trends. And in the future, analysis should be done with a more inclusive data set, possibly including other counties across the whole US and individual level data to provide some more insight regarding things like personal medical history. And now I'll pass it back off to Karis.
The results of our analysis found that smoking influences early mortality and that lack of access to healthy food and physical inactivity influence the number of mentally unwell days to be higher than the average. If the counties want to increase longevity, they should focus on decreasing the amount of population that smoke. For the counties that want to have an average of mentally unwell days that is lower than the US average, they should focus on increasing adult physical activity and access to healthy food. Thank you.